You found the WMIX Saturday Sports Show on AM 940 and WMIXSports.com. Cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. The Saturday Sports Show has been recognized by the Illinois Broadcasters Association as one of the top radio programs in the state. That means the very best mix of local sports content is right here. From the powerhouse on Broadway, the Saturday Sports Show starts now.
Good morning. Hard to believe it's Saturday, but we're here to talk sports on the Saturday Sports Show from WMIX Sports. It's cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
That's what healthcare should be.
That's Danny Zerwinski. I'm Chris Hugo. We're here until 10 o'clock on AM 940 and WMIXSports.com. Busy lineup coming your way today. We'll talk summer hoops with some of our local girls basketball coaches. We'll talk about the Woodlawn Lady Cardinals with Matt Patterson. We'll also have Rick Metcalf on in the 9 o'clock hour. We'll talk about his Lady Devils of Cessna-Valliere-Waltonville. Notwithstanding, we'll also talk some Sitka baseball as their all-star game will be coming up next week at SIU. We'll talk with Trevor Clark about that. We'll talk with Mount Vernon native Robbie Kirk. He is the new football coach at Sparta as he takes the helm in Randolph County. We'll talk with Robbie. Of course, he played for Dan Mings in his high school career. The county is right. I know what you're thinking over there, and I know what you're trying to do, but that is the correct county. It's not one of those Clinton County situations.
Clinton. I thought everything was Clinton over there.
It's not a case of where we say Clinton County for something that's really in St. Clair, but be that as it may. And last and certainly not least, we'll talk with Parker Windhorst. He is the athletic director at Massac County, and kind of tying in some of the bulk of our conversation today. The IHSA had a big board meeting this past week to decide what they were going to do with the success formula that had been proposed. That'll be delayed a year. We'll talk more about that later in the program, but that is also why a little bit later release this year of the official 2014-2015 enrollments for your local high school in the IHSA. And what that does is that is when your classes are decided with the even distribution in the four-class system. And your 3A schools in this area will have some company in basketball this year. They will also have some additional company in baseball and softball. And interesting to see some of the local schools that are actually on the bubble of various classes, say from 2A into 3A or even 3A into 4A. So interesting to see how that divvies out this year. Of course, that'll be ever-changing from year to year due to the multiplication waiver that is granted to non-boundaried institutions based on success or lack thereof. But we'll have a full breakdown of that, of course, later in the 9 o'clock hour. It's interesting to see the results of this board meeting that they had this week. Some things put on hold, some things put to fruition, and we're going to talk all about that in the 9 o'clock hour.
Only thing was everybody in 2A boys basketball in Southern Illinois took a big sigh of relief when Althoff stayed in 3A. Because if Althoff had jumped down to 2A, it had been goodbye. I don't care. It should have been a privilege to the other teams who would have played them in 2A to walk over and shake their hand and say thanks, because they would have been the prohibitive favorites to win 2A as far as getting to Peoria. Now they're in 3A, so that does make a little bit of difference.
Well, and taking a look at the Althoff Crusaders, who next year would actually drop down to 2A, because that is when the time would expire off that sectional run they had made a few years back. But when you look at that team and how loaded they were going to be without any help added to their team, we're talking about the Althoff Crusaders basketball team. You talk about the possibility of a transfer.
No, it's not a possibility. It's happened.
Okay, because I never did see an official
they got
comment.
help.
Okay.
They don't need help, but they got more help.
So the one transfer that was at one school. Okay, so
there.
Tarkus Ferguson is now officially at Althoff. So he goes from West to Cahokia.
That's the wrong guy, I think, but that, yeah.
Okay.
They got help.
Okay. I was that's who I was told it was, which is why I was withholding comment on that. But they did get a transfer, and interestingly enough, did not need any help, but are going to be a pretty formidable basketball team in 2014-2015 are your Althoff Crusaders. So we'll see how that works out. Looking to see how 2014-15 could end up for some of our local basketball teams. Of course, Matt Patterson will join us to start here in just a matter of moments. And for Matt Patterson, you saw, I think, a team that relied heavily on freshmen in 13-14 DC, but a team that improved immensely from the time we saw them first in November to the time we saw them last in February.
Yeah, and obviously summer basketball, they're starting to get out and play some things, and camps and tournaments and open gyms. Everybody's kind of June's kind of basketball month, I think, for the most part. I think a lot of schools go basketball early in Woodlawns, and of course under Matt Patterson, the girls, a young team, still will be young this year. So he has got his girls out and playing just about like everybody else.
Well, and no doubt about that. Another guy that has his girls out and playing, of course, Rick Metcalf of the Sessionville-Waltonville Lady Devils, and that's a program now. I mean, ever since he has taken the helm, and that's I'm not asserting anything on prior coaching staffs, but has seen success ever since he took over that program and bumped heads a few times with some good teams along the way in regionals, but a team now that I think many expect, even though they're in Class 2A, to still be pretty good.
Well, and they've lost a lot of talent to graduation over the last 2-3 years. Had a chance to see them Tuesday down at the Benton Shootout, and I mean, you look at the team and you're kind of looking at it, and you remember some of the faces, you remember some of the names, but a lot of names that we have gotten used to over the past couple of years broadcasting and are gone. Some are back, but you can tell that this group is ready to do some things and ready to do some fun stuff because, this looked to me like a very good group. Tuesday at Benton. Got a lot of things done at Benton on this Tuesday afternoon.
Well, and a lot of teams got a lot of things done, of course, at Benton on Monday and Tuesday with their various, as they had 2 summer shootouts. We talked to Ron Weinmiller and Andrew Sloan last week here on the Saturday Sports to discuss those shootouts, but it's going to be an interesting basketball season. Indeed, some very interesting coaching changes along the way and some conference affiliations changing over the next few years. Things are very interesting in the world of high school sports, including the fact that Sparta was looking for yet another football coach, and this time a wrestling coach position added to that, and Mount Vernon's Robbie Kirk takes the helm there, and you get a young, enthusiastic individual at the helm of those programs and hoping to see maybe some consistency in Sparta over the next few seasons, and maybe some patience.
Well, they're going to need some patience. I mean, that's a program that's got nowhere to go but up. Also, you're adding in the fact that Steelville now co-ops with Sparta in football. So you're not only dealing with one town, you're dealing with 2. You're trying to promote things. So that's a little bit bigger job now to deal with a program that, how should we say this, went well beyond flirting with the Black Diamond and then pulled out the last minute. Got cold feet, stood at the Black Diamond at the altar per se, and then left and went back and stayed in the River to River. So, It's a bigger job than what it would be most other places when you throw in the co-op and the last success in recent years.
Well, and of course, Robbie spent last year as an assistant coach at Pinckneyville. Prior to that, he helped with the program at El Dorado Trico, but does carry a football and wrestling background with him to Sparta. So we wish the best of luck, of course, to Robbie Kirk. We'll talk to them a little bit later on in the program. We'll also talk some baseball all-star contests. SIU, of course, that'll be next Saturday. We'll talk with Trevor Clark about that. And that all-star game is one of the more prestigious in the area. And it'll be interesting to see which players we're going to see next week at SIU.
Well, they usually have 2 games. They have a senior game and then an underclass game as well. And a very good chance for them to get out. The seniors, of course, playing one last high school game. Juniors getting kind of a opportunity to showcase their talent. And then, of course, you get to play at the renovated A. Martin Field, Itchy Jones Stadium. So, again, that's a nice little opportunity for them for down there for that All-Star Games that's been going on for several years in the summer right about this time.
And then you have Parker Windhorst, who's the athletic director at Massac County. And the thing you think of with Massac is the fact they came up to 3A boys and girls basketball a few years back, and so we've seen them in the regionals and still predominantly playing a 2A schedule, of course, due to their conference affiliation and a tournament that they had gotten into after leaving the Pyramid Plus before it was discovered that they were going to be Class 3A in boys and girls basketball. Parker Windhorst, in the meantime, becomes the athletic director there. Now, due to the even division of classes and the enrollments being released this week, Massac bumps to 3A in boys baseball and girls softball. So it'll be interesting to see how that's going to impact his scheduling and if that makes his job just a little bit tougher with, again, conference affiliation and things of that nature.
I don't think schools mind change, but I think in this case, I think the schools, especially athletic directors, do, because here we are late June, and the schools are told, hey, you're going to change, you're going to go up, going to go down, may stay the same. But in a case like Massac, now you find out you're 3A in baseball and softball, which, like you said off the air, that's a blessing in softball because Massac can wipe up and get by. Now they don't have to deal with Nashville and whatnot. Now what they'll run into is probably Columbia. But, I think the change needs to happen before June. I think this is something you have to handle in the school year if the IHSA for the next year so you can allow athletic directors to schedule appropriately. And I think also with the move of Murfreesboro going to 3A in boys basketball, Mount Vernon doesn't go south anymore. I think Mount Vernon and Centralia are going to find themselves uniquely qualified to be in the same basketball regional.
Yes.
Mark it down.
I believe so as well, because with Murphy coming up, Centralia was always before Murphy came up with Heron and Massac and teams of that ilk, Centralia found themselves bumped to the north, but I think now you're going to find Mount Vernon in the same capacity. Conversely, with Massac softball coming up, I think you're going to see Mount Vernon maybe bumped back north in terms of softball. Baseball, you'll see them stay south, I would assume, because Centralia still comes south for baseball more often than not. But now I think you'll see the Orphans baseball team bumped back north for their regional. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. This is going to be part of the conversation we have with Parker Windhorst, but we'll take it a step further after we're done with Mr. Windhorst and see what exactly we can expect with some of these bumps up. And I was looking through the list.
Harrisburg's one kid short.
Uh-huh.
Harrisburg, okay, I know Harrisburg next year is going to be sweating because I think they're next on the proverbial move up. I think Benton will be close, but I think Benton starts to back off a little bit in the next couple of years based on enrollment numbers I'm hearing. You know, that the whole side of the river to river Ohio has got to sweat every year. Harrisburg done sweating. They're going to be next year up, but every year the river to river Ohio division, everybody's going to be sweating in something.
Because if Althoff doesn't do anything this year,
yep,
in boys basketball in 3A, and who knows, it's possible they're going to be good enough to do something. But they would bump down, lose that waiver. We're just a couple years away from Alton Marquette probably going back down, probably about another 3.
Yeah.
But you're looking at, and we cannot forget, we'll talk at length about this, so we cannot forget about the Carterville Lions and Lady Lions.
Oh, I forgot about them. Carterville blew by Frankfort and Benton. I forgot about them enrollment-wise.
Because this should have been, I think, the first year of the first graduating class from Tri-C.
Right.
So that'll continue.
Carterville
Tri-C, of course, is when
went
they
up.
consolidate the effort.
What the number is enrollment-wise, but they flew by people this time. And if it doesn't happen next year, it will happen the next year. They will be 3A.
I could see next year being 3A, and then the year after that. Basically, here's what's going to happen. When Carterville, we'll talk more about this again. When Carterville goes up to 3A, the following year will be the year that they don't come back down. That'll be the year that they have enough kids.
They're done.
To where they're never going to be back in 2A. So it'll be interesting to see. And possibly a few years down the road, they will be big enough to where they will have no choice but to probably be in a conference such as the South 7 because that enrollment's not going to decline anytime soon. So we'll see what happens in Carterville. And, of course, that is the preferred home of many SIU staff, faculty, and even some coaches. So we'll see what type of athletes they happen to get and how unique that would be if Harrisburg were to end up bumping up as well, that Harrisburg, Marion, even Heron, whose city limits, oddly enough, are on the Route 13 corridor, but Carterville and possibly Carbondale and Murphy, all 3A along one highway. It
starts to become a question of how long. I mean, you know, Carterville, the way it's gauged, Carterville is gauged to blow by people in the river to river, including Heron and Harrisburg enrollment-wise. So the question will be, how long will it be in the next 5 to 10 years? Carterville looks around and says, okay, we can't be in the river, Mississippi. We have to get moved. And they have to, I've always said they have to play Heron in football. They always have to play Harrisburg, I think. They have to play those things. And, of course, you know, football, Harrisburg and Marion, this is their last time to play this year in week 3 before they're done. We'll talk more about Marion's road trips later on in the summer and early fall. But, you know, there's all kinds of things going on enrollment-wise that could affect conferences down here because people are going to have to – I've been saying this for years, even though I was down at our sister station. People are going to have to get together and redo the conferences based on enrollment, what's going on.
There are two schools that we have screamed about needing to be proactive for years. They're going to need to start being a little bit more proactive than what they have been. We'll talk about that later in the program. Stay tuned. We'll also talk to Matt Patterson here after the break, head coach of Woodlawn Lady Cardinals basketball. It's coming up here on the Saturday Sports Show, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. Don't forget about our WMIX Sports social media question of the week. You'll find out on air with Matt Patterson after the break.
The health of your kidneys has a big impact on your overall health, affecting everything from your blood pressure to your bones. And if you ever have a kidney problem, Dr. Kangura is here to help. Dr. Kangura trained at the Mayo Clinic and specializes in conditions ranging from kidney stones and uncontrolled high blood pressure to chronic kidney disease. Dr. Kangura sees patients at Crossroads Specialty Clinic. For an appointment, call 618-241-9071.
Learn to live healthy, learn to live well, and learn how you can live free from unexpected medical expense with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance and the Page Agency. Health insurance that covers hospital, medical, and surgical expenses offers a wide choice of deductibles and a non-tobacco user discount too. Rising medical costs don't have to be a problem with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance. This is coverage we hope you'll never need, but you just can't be without. Call the Page Agency at 242-7000 about a major medical health insurance plan today.
Did your bank recently make changes or add fees to your checking account? Free yourself with a free checking account from People's National Bank. You'll receive a Visa check card, online banking, bill pay, mobile banking, and access to over 20,000 ATMs with the added convenience of MoneyPass ATM network. Stop by People's National Bank located at 413 South 34th Street in Mount Vernon today for details on how to get your free checking account.
People's National Bank, serving Southern Illinois since 1909. Member FDIC. Non-usage and wireless carrier fees may apply.
Your best connection is Tyler's, where satisfaction is part of the deal. Come get your best buy with Tyler's, and satisfaction is what you feel. The best in service and quality, a great selection you gotta see. We got it all at Tyler's. Your best connection is Tyler's, where satisfaction is part of the deal.
Welcome back, Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com. It's cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Here with you, here with Woodlawn Lady Cardinals head basketball coach Matt Patterson. Matt, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
You know, pretty good. It's hard to believe that we have gone from high school softball, and now for you, you're immediately thrusted back into high school basketball, of course, over the summer months. Is it a tough transition to go right from that softball mentality back into the basketball mentality after having just completed your softball season?
You know, it is a little tough, just switching that quick and trying to give the girls a little bit of a break. So we waited a little extra week compared to some people, but we've been back at it for a couple weeks now, and I think we're full swing now, so it's not too bad.
What kind of summer stuff do? You keep basically to yourself, do open gyms, or do you guys like to travel out and play in different tournaments or play in different schools as far as on like a Tuesday, Thursday night, a couple teams get together?
So far we've been to ourselves just doing some individual work and getting in the weight room a little bit and doing that kind of stuff. But come July we're going to go to DuQuoin for a day and do a shootout. We were supposed to go to Olney next week, but we ran into some number of problems with the volleyball camp and that kind of thing. So we're going to spend most of June doing some individual stuff, and then in July we'll hit a couple camps.
When you have, as you do, you have such a very young team, and a lot of the girls came straight out of 8th grade last year in high school, and now they've had a year under their belt. So you're seeing a little different, I guess would be mental take on doing summer stuff from your girls this year, being that they're a year older?
Oh, absolutely. You know, they're a little more into the workout part of it. They realized, from last year they need to get a little stronger and things like that. And individually they just knew they needed to get a little bit better and that kind of thing and keep improving. So it's definitely a different mentality, and they've taken it on pretty well.
It's been taking it well. The upcoming season, months away, but it'll be here before we know it. Any specific changes or anything to the schedule that you know of for this year and in the winter for your team?
I'm not exactly sure on a lot of that. I think we've added Flora this year, which had a really good year in 2A last year. So there's another, stiff challenge we put on there, but that's about all I know of so far.
How much of a challenge is it? I know 2-3 years ago we had 7 or 8, 9 teams, girls basketball-wise in Midland Trail Conference. Last year there were 5. How much of a challenge is that for a coach like you and your AD, Shane Witzel, to have to kind of guess, cross fingers, and worry about how many teams will be in the conference year to year?
It's a big problem. We usually don't find out until it's way too late to try to fill in, certain games or anything like that. So we think we have a pretty good handle on it now. But that could also change, come August when school starts.
School starts shortly. What kind of sports have you been taking care of or looking at besides basketball this summer and got your eye on?
Well, I tried to watch the NBA Finals, but that wasn't really worth a whole lot of viewing time after Game 2. But not really a soccer fan, but watch a little bit of World Cup whenever it comes on if America plays, and that's about it right now.
Must be easy summer then for you. Not much going on.
Right. For the first time in a long time, not too bad.
Well, that's what I say. First time you get to relax, and you said you get 25 contact days. How do you disperse them? Do you do them a bunch in an order, or do you space them out? And how do you work with the other sports at school?
We've tried to work with everybody, tried to get together and make sure everybody gets their equal time. But we've spread it out pretty good, doing a couple days a week, and we'll cut it off in about mid-July and let them have a little break and some summer before volleyball starts. So not too bad, but 25 will work for now.
Do you find it a thing where, volleyball is successful at Woodlawn, basketball and softball have been successful at Woodlawn? Is it a lot easier to kind of get that equal time knowing that you take care of 2 of those 3 sports?
It's just hard. Summertime when small school especially, we got girls that play every sport, all 3, and they're usually good at it, so they're wanting to go to camps, and you add in vacation and summer camps and all that stuff. It gets kind of hard, but you just deal with who shows up when they get there and worry about the rest whenever October comes.
Our final question for you, as you know, is our social media question of the week, and this week's question is, what job would you perform at a circus?
Oh, good grief. I don't know if I want any job at a circus. Can I make popcorn?
Yeah, I mean, you can do concessions.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I feel in Ann Care mode there. I think I'll just go make some popcorn.
Well, you could learn from her. You learn from the best. I mean, she's...
Right, there you go.
Right. There's no problem with that. There's any job we accept, that's for sure.
Outstanding. Matt, we appreciate the time this morning. I know summer is always busy for everybody, and with you having 2 sports that obviously busy for you, but we thank you for taking the time out to join us this morning and talking a little bit about your Lady Cardinals.
No problem. Thanks, guys. Have a good morning.
You too. That's Matt Patterson, head coach of Woodlawn Lady Cardinal basketball and softball, taking the time to talk a little bit about summer basketball. We'll also have Rick Metcalf a little bit later in the program, talk about his girl basketball team. We'll talk with Sam Root after the break. We'll talk a little Blueford Legion baseball, the junior and senior teams coming up as we work at getting better coverage of Legion baseball for you here on WMIX and WMIXsports.com, because sports don't take the summer off. We'll take a break, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what health care should be.
Back after these.
Every other incident, it seems as if someone says, "You'll never believe what happened." Hi, this is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers of Mount Vernon and Salem. I assure you, Landers Collision Centers has seen and fixed it all. Whether your toddler got behind the wheel and backed into the trash cans, a kid at school thought it would be funny to take off in your son's truck and sideswipe a brick wall, or even if your ex took a major league whack at your truck windows, we can make it go away, and we certainly won't judge. As a direct repair facility for many insurance companies, we take care of just about everything, even getting you into a temporary vehicle and offering free premium detailing for the life of your vehicle. That's the Landers difference. Top to bottom, big or small, Landers fixes them all. Come see us in Mount Vernon and Salem and ask us about free detailing for the life of your vehicle, or call 1-888-LANDERS. That's 1-888-LANDERS.
Here's Jeff Schmidt for Schmidt Chevrolet Cadillac of Mount Vernon.
We have a good selection of 2013 ATS, CTS, and XTSs that we have to move, and right now is a great time to purchase because you get the year-end incentives. The closeouts that we're doing on these cars is remarkable, and the savings is there. So right now we're making them very affordable, and I can't say enough about the product. It is fantastic.
Schmidt Chevrolet Cadillac of Mount Vernon, 3423 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
Complete. That's the Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois, with a full sports medicine clinic, state-of-the-art MRI, a spine care team that focuses on pain management, arthroscopy specialists offering total joint replacement, hand surgery, and complete rehabilitation services. Doctors Poole, Ahn, Kowalski, Freehill, and Smith stand ready to serve you today, with offices in Mount Vernon and Centralia and satellite offices in Benton and Nashville. Find out more online at orthocenter-si.com.
Welcome back, Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Our next guest, well, anytime you need to talk anything baseball-related in Blueford or anything sports-related at all, we talk to Sam Root. Sam, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
You know what? You go from, obviously, we talked about last week, the very successful run in 1A high school baseball. Now you're already into Legion baseball. How are things going with the Legion?
Oh, we're doing well, actually. I'm getting ready to head over to Blueford this morning. Our senior Legion is playing New Baden at home, and that's district. So they got a doubleheader at 10 a.m. Billy Roddenbush and Dave Mosier coach that, and we got our past players on that team. And then our 4 seniors are graduated, and we moved a couple kids up as well, like Gagne and Zane Austin. So they beat Carmine last night. They've been really competitive so far and doing well, and that's nice to see. And like I said, then we got our junior Legion with our, I call them the young pups that are getting ready to come into high school that Brad Austin and I are coaching. So there's lights are on in the coaching field probably about things like 3 to 4 nights a week right now. So we've been busy.
Is it tough for you to sit? I know you coach junior Legion, but is it hard for you when you sit and watch the senior Legion team play and think, okay, we need to do this, we need to do that? Do you ever get that vibe, or you just sit and relax?
Maybe a little bit. I mostly just sit and relax. I usually go over for one of the 2 games. I don't know. It's officially summer now. It's hot. So I go over for one of the 2, but it's good for those kids to get away from me, and hear some other voices. And our coaches up there do a good job. And I honestly, personally, I was worried about being burnt out because I usually don't do summer, but we have so many new kids coming in. We thought it was going to be really beneficial for our program. These young kids that really came in and listened, and they're just ready to get after it, and their parents are dedicated as well. So it's kind of re-energized me coaching that junior Legion for the first time.
How long has the Blueford American Legion baseball program been around?
Well, they used to have, well before I got here a long time ago, they had a senior Legion team, I believe, and Bill Henderson ran that. And then I think maybe numbers dropped off for quite a while. I know when I got here, took the baseball program over 6 years ago, we were we had basically 2 choices. They could go to Mount Vernon and try out, or they could go to Fairfield and try out. And, we just know that we had to have all of our kids playing no matter what in the summer, and we wanted that to be dependent on us. So we just started doing our own thing again 3 years ago.
When you look at how many, it's been 3 years, and you mentioned district play, you mentioned New Baden. Who are the teams? I know Mount Vernon probably is, but who are the teams involved in your specific district when district play begins in mid to late July?
Well, like I said, you're playing your district everybody twice, and that started. Well, a lot of people got a jump. So, when we played Salem, which was our first one out of the gate, since we had to start late, they'd already had 6 games in, and personally, Junior Legion is, I might forget somebody too. I got my schedule here. I wasn't cheap, but Mount Vernon, Odin, Sandoval, Patoka, all 3 together to have a team. Salem, Centralia, Breeze's got 2 different teams. Carlisle, Trenton, and that pretty much takes care of them on our side. And then I said, Senior Legion's a little different, and you probably had New Baden in there, and you might maybe another team or 2. I'm not quite sure, but I know we hit wooden bats in Junior Legion, which is, I'm a firm believer. I like to do that. I think it teaches you how to be a better contact hitter and hit the ball at all fields. So that's kind of been a change for some of our young kids. But no, it's good. Like I said, we're getting a lot of games in, and that's how you build.
I got to know this. When those young kids use that wooden bat and they get those hits with the aluminum bats, they don't get with the wooden bats. I mean, what's their reaction? And they get one in on the hands or it doesn't go as far. What do they say? What do they act like?
I tell you what, I just think they've been a blessing just to have. And, our first couple of practices, not only would we been having to do a lot of fundamental teaching, but you just jam that, you probably ratchet that up about 5 times since we were 2 or 3 weeks started late with so many new kids. We only have, I think, 2 or 3 that played for us this summer down there. The rest are coming in, and they haven't griped one bit. They just play on. Maybe they don't know any better. So it's been fine. We got shut out against Salem our first 2 games, and so I'm sure they didn't like the wooden bats too much. And I'll tell you what, I wasn't a big fan either, but we put up 22 the other night and a doubleheader and swept. So maybe we're coming around on them a little bit, but it's fair. Both teams are using it. We pretty much have that saying that, I don't care how hot it is or umpires or whatever. I mean, if it's the same for both teams, you just go play. So they haven't said a word about it.
Legion baseball, to me, in the last 10 years or so, has taken a big hit, with the IHSA giving contact days and travel teams and whatnot. You form a team, you get a team going a program, and they're at Blueford. What have you seen elsewhere, other coaches, other towns? What do they say about Legion and their towns about how that's been going on?
Well, I talked to some coaches. Like I said, I'm more worried about us in the summer. I know certain people I've talked to, it's a struggle for them to field a competitive team or have most of their kids there because maybe they do a lot of travel. So it maybe forces them to play a minimal schedule of district because, your kids will be away the rest of the time. Then you hope you have them back for the district tournament. But I think as long as your kids are playing somewhere, I think that's the main objective, and I think that's what other coaches, have said too.
Final question for you is our WMIX Sports social media question of the week. You know how this goes, and I think
I've already heard it. So this is a tough one.
You've already cheated, haven't you?
I cheat every time if I can.
See, okay. All right, I see how this is going to go. All right, so the question is, what job would you do at a circus?
I still don't have a good answer. How about the person? Do they do? It's been a while since I've been at a circus. Do they give elephant rides actually at circuses?
I don't.
Probably did at one time.
Well, I want to be the guy that helps the little kids up there selling an elephant for the first time. So I think that'd be pretty neat to see the joint his face, and I think it'd be kind of comical as well. So I was going to say ringleader, but that's too much responsibility. So how about the guy that helps the kids onto the elephant?
Okay, so we're going to call you the elephant ride director then.
Elephant Man, I guess. I don't care, whatever.
Yeah, Elephant Man, there you go.
That Elephant Man or something.
Yeah.
Coach, it works for us. I know you're a busy, busy man, but we appreciate you taking the time out for us this morning, and best of luck the rest of the season with Blueford Legion Baseball.
Hey, thanks a lot for all your coverage. It's a pleasure to be on again.
Amen. That is Sam Root, obviously the athletic director at Weber Township High School, but right now he's wearing his Legion hat as the coach of the junior team, and it's good to see Legion Baseball back in Blueford.
Well, it's good to see Legion baseball anywhere. I think,
sure.
Last 5 or 10 years, Southern Illinois, the numbers have dwindled. I mean, you used to have teams everywhere for Legion, whether it was Orient, and I know some of these towns still have them. You had Orient, but for Frankfort, Benton, Murphy, Sparta, Carbondale. You had all kinds of teams, Massac playing. Mount Vernon's been able to get through situations, last few years as well. So you have different towns that, have seen Legion teams go by the wayside due to travel, teams in the summer, contact days for high school sports. And it's nice to see teams and towns figure out ways to continue to have Legion baseball around.
It is. And, of course, we're not done talking Legion baseball. Over the coming weeks, we'll have more guests. Hoping to catch up with Pierce Spora, of course, of Mount Vernon, Todd Bauer of Centralia, among others, to talk Legion baseball this summer. We'll talk with Trevor Clark. You might know him as the Johnston City baseball coach, but today he's wearing his Sibka hat. Southern Illinois Baseball Coaches Association, their All-Star Classic. That'll be next week at SIU. We'll talk with Trevor Clark after the break here on the Saturday Sports Show, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
A digestive problem can affect every area of your life. But now there's a specialist right here in town who focuses on digestive health. Mayo Clinic trained Dr. Tegpaul Atwal has opened the only gastroenterology clinic in Mount Vernon. Dr. Atwal treats acid reflux, gallbladder problems, inflammatory bowel disease, ulcers, and more. For your appointment with Dr. Atwal at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 618-241-9071.
Hi, Roy Schmidt, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealer at King City Chrysler Center, Mount Vernon. Right now, receive 0% plus $3,000 cash back on all Ram 1500s. You heard right, 0% plus $3,000 cash back. Chrysler wants to possibly lower your payments on Motor Trend's Truck of the Year 2 years back-to-back, running for 2013 and 2014. So they are bringing back 0% financing and big cash back. We have a great selection of crew cabs and quad cab trucks, two-wheel drive and four-wheel drives. Hurry in today to King City Chrysler Center, 1603 Broadway in Mount Vernon, Illinois, where you can count on us.
We Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. Now is a great time to move your account to Community First Bank. With our new One Account offering the highest interest rate in the market, free checking, and CD specials delivered by people you know and trust, why would you not bank with the market leader in Jefferson County? We offer 5 locations with 7 ATMs and have been serving the Jefferson County market since 1906. Stop in and see why our bank is the fastest growing bank in Jefferson County. Community First Bank. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC.
Welcome back, Saturday Sports Show, AM 940 and WMIXSports.com, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what health care should be.
That's Danny Zerwinski. I'm Chris Hugo here until 10 o'clock. As we have plenty more guests to run through the lineup. We're looking forward now to Trevor Clark. Of course, he is the head baseball coach at Johnston City, but today representing the Southern Illinois Baseball Coaches Association, better known to you as SIBCA. Good morning, Coach Clark. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
You know what? Big All-Star game coming up next week at SIU. It's the SIBCA All-Star Classic. Tell us a little bit about the game times next week and how people can come out and watch these Southern Illinois athletes.
Okay, the senior All-Star game will start at 10 a.m. Then we'll follow that with an underclass game. After that, approximately 1 p.m. That will include probably mostly juniors and some sophomores. And it'll be at Abe Martin Field at Carbondale. And we usually have a pretty good turnout, lots of good players and good fans.
Good selection of players obviously make the trip down. I know they'll be busy with other things, but how do you get selected to play in either one of these games there next Saturday at SIU?
What will happen is we'll start sending information out towards the end of the season, and head coaches will nominate their players, and the selection committee sits down and decides who to fill the roster up with.
Let's go back a little bit. Your team, I want to go back to the spring as we can have you on, but your team, the Johnson City Indians, very good spring this season, regional championship over Benton. Talk about your season, how that went, and I know it's been a short time since the season's over, but give your feelings and thoughts on how that year went by.
Well, I mean, we started off, we was playing pretty good baseball. We were the 4 seed going into it, and but we still felt pretty good about where we were at. As the season went on, and, every coach tries to determine what lineup's going to work best. And as we got towards the end of the season, I think we won 14 out of our last 16 games. And we got into the regional, and we were playing very good baseball. We had a very talented group of seniors that came through and won over 20 games for 3 years in a row. And we just finally put it together. It was a 40-year drought is what it was.
In your time there at Johnson City, Black Diamond Conference baseball, this year, amazing how many teams either made regional finals, won regionals, or whatnot. How amazing has the transformation of Black Diamond Conference baseball been in your time at Johnson City?
Well, when I first started coaching here, it was a 4-team conference. I believe it was Carterville, Ziegler-Royalton, Alvarado, and us. And as the conference expanded, we picked up some good baseball schools, and currently there are 11 schools that play baseball. So it's one big conference. But, however, next year that's going to be changing. As the Black Diamond sits, we've got an East and a West division in basketball. That's how it's going to be splitting up next year. Now, Vienna is going to be shifting from the East division to the West division in basketball. And the following year, in 15-16, Edwards County is going to be coming in. So the conference is going to be realigning somewhat, and Edwards County is a good athletic school.
Looking at the conference, so that means you're going to play everybody on your side twice. Is there an incentive to play? Yes. Is there an incentive to play the other teams at all, or are you looking at limiting them and get other games on your schedule?
What we will do is you'll see some crossovers, but what is happening is geographically the Black Diamond has spread out so far. From Carmi to Chester is a pretty good haul. You're going to see teams playing each other on each side, but I think it's going to be more geographically. We expect to play Ziegler and those teams that we've played in the past, Goreville. But what has happened is cost of travel and everything has just kind of transformed the last couple of years. And we're going to be doing something kind of neat next year. And I don't know what other conferences do this, but on Tuesday. For example, we may play El Dorado on Tuesday at their place, and then on Thursday they'll be coming to our place. That way, it gives you a chance to see a team's number 1 and number 2 pitcher.
That's an interesting deal because a lot of schools, I know, like South 7, will play Tuesday, Thursday conference games, but not necessarily back-to-back. That's an interesting deal you guys are setting up.
Yeah, I kind of like it, and I think it'll be more difficult to see. It'll be rarer to see a team go undefeated in the conference because you're going to see teams 1 and 2 instead of their 1 and 1.
You've been around baseball a long time. We were talking. We're delving into Legion baseball a little bit. We were talking to Sam Root at Weber about the Blueford Legion program. You've been around it a while, and I know with the invention of travel teams and 25 contact days in high school sports, where everybody have a contact with their players. What have you seen about baseball over the years? You've seen an increase, a decline in interest from kids as far as over the last few years go?
I think every high school is different, but I think overall what I've been seeing is with the onset of travel baseball, you have a lot of your good players, they're getting better. And what I fear through all of this is that we see some of these mediocre players or your average players, you lose those kids over time because they don't have a place to play. And like this SIBCA, we have a summer league, and like our good seniors are gone off playing, and we get to work with our younger kids. But I see that the numbers are going down, and I think that's with every sport because kids have other things to do now than what they did, say, 15 years ago.
And that's true. And you mentioned SIBCA is that league right now. Who are the teams and schools that are playing in that this summer?
We have 9 teams in it, and you have we play in it: Marion, Heron, Hamilton County, Goreville, Vienna, Carbondale. There's a total of 9 teams, and what we do is we send 3 teams to a site, and we play a triple header. For example, if Heron and Marion were at our place, Johnston City would play Heron first game, Heron and Marion would play second game, and then Johnston City and Marion would play the third game, and we play 5-inning games.
Okay, and you have not, I don't know if you've been on the show or not, but our final question is always our social media question of the week, and this could be about anything. And knowing that you're retired from the hay business, I know you've got other things you like to improve on talent-wise. So our question this week is, what job would you perform at a circus?
I've given that a lot of thought over the years. I think I'd have to be a trapeze artist.
Now, would you go into business to have the Clark brother act, you and your brothers, or how would that go?
Well, that's the only way to go, isn't it?
I would say I would pay. You know what? I'll bet you I would pay, and I know some other people that would pay to see you 3 do that kind of exhibition.
Well, I don't know if the other 2 could fit in the uniforms.
Oh my, that's pretty good. I hadn't thought about that either.
That is outstanding. Coach, thank you for taking the time out to join us here on the Saturday Sports Show. Best of luck with the Simca All-Star Game next week.
Okay, thank you very much.
That is Trevor Clark, head coach, Johnston City Indians baseball, but I know at one time was the secretary-treasurer of the Illinois Baseball Coaches Association. Not sure of his exact role now, but big All-Star Game. A lot of local talent will be showcased at Itchy Jones Stadium next Saturday with the senior game at 10 o'clock.
Trying to get the images out of my head, what he just mentioned.
Well, I've never actually met Trevor. I've met Keenan a few times.
Yeah.
Based on my memory of that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes. The Flying Clark brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, my. We need to talk with Mount Vernon native Robbie Kirk here on the Saturday Sports Show. Of course, many of you remember him playing for Dan Mings here at MVTHS, went on to McKendree for his collegiate football career, and now is the head coach of the Sparta Bulldogs. We'll talk with Robbie after the break here on the Saturday Sports Show, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
I'm Jeremy Pearson with a look at your next rad weather. It will be very warm and humid throughout today with a blend of clouds and sunshine, high 90. Thunderstorms are likely this evening, otherwise it will be partly cloudy and humid, low 66. Partly sunny, high and humid tomorrow, with thunderstorm and spots, high 90. And Monday's looking humid with a blend of clouds and sunshine with an afternoon shower or thunderstorm around, high 88. Next rad weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
They don't need fancy sales gimmicks or billboards at Second Chance Auto in Mount Vernon because it's their reputation for honesty and fairness that make friends tell friends about them. What other buy here, pay here dealership in the area offers you bank rate financing? Second Chance does. You can save up to thousands on the total cost of your vehicle. Not sure if you qualify? That's easy. A 2-minute call to 244-4582 will get you started. Or stop by Second Chance Auto, Route 142 East in Mount Vernon. You won't be disappointed.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
Welcome back, Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com. Glad to be here with you until 10 o'clock, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
We're going to catch up with Robbie Kirk here on the Saturday Sports Show. Robbie, a Mount Vernon native, played on the Hall of Fame 05 team. Played for Dan Mings, of course, went on to McKendree College at the time, now McKendree University, where he played his collegiate career. Then, actually, I believe got a gig at Alvarado Trico, was an assistant for that football team. Coached alongside Todd Thomas of the Pinckneyville Panthers this past year, and now gets the helm of a river-to-river school at Sparta as he takes over the Bulldogs, who will co-op with Steelville, where he will also be the wrestling coach. So not a bad get for Sparta, in my opinion. As Robbie Kirk, many hoped that he would get a chance at Alvarado, but probably ends up a little bit better so long as the Sparta School Board is patient.
Well, and you get an opportunity. It's hard to find a wrestling coach.
Yeah, there's that.
There is that. You don't want to
Some
run
places
wrestling
it is.
coach. Well, yeah, but you don't want to run wrestling coaches off if you don't have to. But
Nope, shouldn't.
you get a guy. Wrestling is not something anybody can walk off the street and coach. It's not like everybody's wrestled and understands it. So that's a good get for Sparta, for him to be a coach. Again, as we mentioned earlier in the show, he's going to have to work with not only Sparta but Steelville, as they are in a co-op together in that river-to-river side. And it's a tough side to be in. You're in with the likes of AJ, DuQuoin, Nashville, amongst others, and there's not an easy game on their schedule being a river-to-river school that, and I know they have a couple of non-conferences with DuPont and Redbud, but it's not an easy schedule, and it's not an easy conference to win games in. That's an uphill climb.
Well, it is, and I think the trouble is you've seen a few one-and-dones since the untimely demise, unfortunately, of Phil Watson when he was leading the Bulldogs. And since then, I think it's just going to require a little bit of patience with whoever is leading. And this time it's Robbie Kirk, but I think his strength is the fact that he is a wrestling coach as well. But at the same time, it's going to require patience because, as you said, that is an uphill climb in the river-to-river Mississippi, especially with a couple of schools projected to be pretty solid this year.
Well, the times have changed in Sparta. I think, cross country is huge. They have qualified and whatnot and everything. They haven't had a winning season in football as I go back and look. I'm going to say since Kerry Martin was there, which it was, the fall of 1992, they were 8-3 and made the playoffs. And then 94, they were 5-4 under David Peck, did not make the playoffs. So you have to go back to 1994. The last time they actually got above 500. In 05, they were 4-5 under current Mount Vernon Rams assistant Seth English. But, when you look back, they've won one game last year, one game 2 years ago, didn't win games for 3 years in a row. So they have run a grand total in 6 years of 3 games. Being a track school, cross-country school, guys win, they're going to go there. That's what happens. And it's a tough job, but again, a river-to-river school, you got some resources that aren't available in many other places, so we'll see what Robbie can do.
Well, I think he'll have a successful tenure there. Again, I think the thing that I'm going to continue to preach is we'll try to catch up with him later, is the fact that it just takes time. And whether or not they give him that time, I think will be key. But there's a history of a perceived lack of patience there, and so we'll see if they give Robbie Kirk the time that he deserves to get that program up and running again, give it a little bit of a kick start, as he, again, will also be the wrestling coach there at Sparta. And, again, wrestling coaches are actually something, good ones anyway, are very hard to find, and it's certainly not a position you want to run off undeservedly. So
no, and, in this day and age, schools, money don't go together. You don't have the extra money to create positions, get creative how your staff's going to look like or be. So you have to come up with ways to come up, do things. And you got when you get a bargain like this, where you get a wrestling and a football coach for the price of one, Sparta's got to feel very lucky, and athletic director Richard Williams has to be very happy that those two positions were covered as easily. I think with them, though, They flirted very hard. In fact, I would say they asked the question, they got engaged, they walked down the aisle, and then at the last minute, Sparta threw the Black Diamond to the curb at the altar. So Sparta Steelville now will play in the River to River. So would the Black Diamond been a better fit? Yeah. Would the Cahokia Conference be a better fit? More than likely, because of travel. So, they can't. From what I've heard, the Cahokia Conference and them have never gotten into a mode of agreeing to being let in. So, tough gig, tough job, tough schedule. And Sparta always has a tough football schedule, and that's for certain with their games in that conference.
No doubt about that. We'll take a break here on the Saturday Sports Show. When we come back, we'll give you our answers to the WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week. It's all coming up along with the top of the hour here on WMIX and WMIXsports.com. The show is always cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Is going on now. With more than 100 degree and certificate programs, RLC can put you on the fast track to a new career or to continue your education. More affordable than four-year universities and private schools, you can save thousands of dollars at RLC. Our trained academic counselors will make sure you're on the right path, whether you plan to transfer to a four-year university or head straight into the workforce. Registration by appointment continues through August 1st. Call us at 437-5321 or find us online at rlc.edu. Rend Lake College, your journey starts here.
If you can't pick us up where you live, move. This is WMIX, Mount Vernon, Marion, another Withers broadcasting station.
Your best connection is Tyler's, where satisfaction is part of the deal. Come get your Best Buy with Tyler's, and satisfaction is what you feel. The best in service and quality, a great selection you gotta see. We got it all at Tyler's. Your best connection is Tyler's, where satisfaction is part of the deal.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. By now you have heard about our new One Checking product. The new One Account is a high interest earning, free checking account designed for everyone. Unlike other banks that pay interest on higher balance, this account pays interest on all balances. From high schoolers to Warren Buffett, One will work for you. You can talk to one of us at 244-3000 and learn about the details. One, exclusively at Community First Bank. You will be one happy customer. Member FDIC.
Welcome back, Saturday Sports Show, AM 940 and WMIXsports.com. Cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
It is, indeed.
Sorry, I was caught off by a text about the football schedule this year and who the Black Diamond have to find and play if you can't find anybody.
I'll tell you right now, it sucks to be some.
Well, I
know some hate that word. My apologies.
It
stinks to be some.
I mean, just caught me off guard because some schools can find a game, other schools can't. So, anyway, they'll get the forfeit win. A lot of schools will this year.
No doubt about that. Of course, WMIX Sports social media question this week. We want to know, you can have one job in the circus. Which job would you have? It's on Facebook right now. Hit us up on there, facebook.com/WMIX Sports, or find us on the Twitterverse. Let us know your answer. A lot of good ones. We had a man say the bearded lady, which was what I was going to say, although I've since shifted my position to something else.
Somebody beat you to it.
Yep, Mr. Bats, of course.
Yeah.
I know what yours is, but what is yours?
Master of Ceremonies.
Crow will put being shot out of a cannon, if I'm not mistaken already, so he beat us to the punch there. But mine would be marketing. They have those now.
Marketing a circus?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Take care of their advertising, their interviews, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Be all right. That's a good gig.
I was a barker for a circus one time.
Oh, we have the first. We have the first. We have the scooper job been selected.
Really?
Yep.
Well,
scooper job behind elephants.
We had somebody doing something other than scooping.
Yeah, we had clown artist.
Yes,
we'll say that.
Yes.
Concessions, elephant ride director, the trick dog lady.
How about the trapeze artist from the Flying Clark Brothers?
The Flying Clark Brothers, trapeze artist.
Human Cannonball Crow.
Yeah, Human Cannonball. So we've got some different answers.
Yeah.
Not bad, not bad.
So, there we go. I like it. Give us your answer. Facebook.com/WMIX Sports. You can hit us up on the Twitterverse as well. If it's good enough for Irvin Santana, it's good enough for you.
Irvin Santana
And
of the Braves
and
follows
Joey
us.
Bats.
Joey Bats from the Blue Jays follows us.
So why not? At WMIX Sports on the Twitterverse. Give us a follow while you're on there. We'll take another break. We'll come back. We'll talk girls basketball, girls summer basketball, the Chesterfield-Waltonville Lady Red Devils with Coach Rick Metcalf. It's all coming up here on WMIX. Stay tuned. We are cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. We're back after these.
Registration for fall classes at Rend Lake College is going on now. With more than 100 degree and certificate programs, RLC can put you on the fast track to a new career or to continue your education. More affordable than four-year universities and private schools, you can save thousands of dollars at RLC. Our trained academic counselors will make sure you're on the right path, whether you plan to transfer to a four-year university or head straight into the workforce. Registration by appointment continues through August 1st. Call us at 437-5321 or find us online at rlc.edu. Rend Lake College, your journey starts here.
The health of your kidneys has a big impact on your overall health, affecting everything from your blood pressure to your bones. And if you ever have a kidney problem, Dr. Kangura is here to help. Dr. Kangura trained at the Mayo Clinic and specializes in conditions ranging from kidney stones and uncontrolled high blood pressure to chronic kidney disease. Dr. Kangura sees patients at Crossroads Specialty Clinic. For an appointment, call 618-241-9071.
Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com. Chris Hugo with Danny Zerwinski. Jeff Crow in studio with us as well until 10 o'clock. Talking local sports today as the summer, well, you know how that goes. Sports do not take the summer off. We're glad to be here with you again until 10 o'clock. We'll still talk with Parker Windhorst, of course. He's the athletic director at Massac County High School, home of the Patriots. We'll talk about some of the recent changes made with him, at least to his duties, as he now has another increase in terms of class size for the Patriots to deal with. Spring sports coming, so we'll talk about that later. We'll also talk about the recent IHSA board meeting, some of the decisions that were handed down or delayed, of course, this past week. Huh?
Or tossed.
Yes. So
I think that's where they're going with that other thing. I think that's step one.
I think you realize just how difficult that would be to implement. We're talking about the success factor.
Oh my gosh!
And first of all, a lot of the problem is there are so many people confused as to whether or not that applied to public schools. It does not, but it's not clear. And so many confused about that. And if you're confused about whether or not it applies to a public or non-boundaried, right there tells you that, hey, this may not end well for us. So that ends up being the case with that. That's delayed at least until 15-16. Will not take effect until 14-15. Then the misnomer that Althoff would drop down a class, but actually I redid the math, and next year is when that should come, barring any successes this year, which still, either way, even if they would have to win a sectional this year. If they won a regional this year.
It's a point system. I think it's a point system based on state trophy, super, how this all goes. And after so many years, you add up your points, and then that tells
Right.
I don't know. I don't know about anybody else. I long for the days where if you were 2A in baseball, you're 2A in everything else.
Right.
I long for those days. It's very simple. It's very easy. You don't have to look and go, well, you're in 3A for this, but you're in 2A for this, but you're in 3A, Where, why, what are we doing here? Let's get a little more simple here.
Well, simplicity is key. And I think what becomes of it is a nightmare, and we'll ask Parker Windhorst this because he dealt with it, won't be dealing with it this year. Well, actually still will, because it'll take a while for this to take effect. Question I'm kind of curious when we talk to Parker is, you're on the board, you're a little bit more well into it. Obviously, you're not going to drop down in basketball. You could go back and forth in baseball and softball, depending upon what happens with your growth or lack thereof. How do you now approach your schedule? Do you assume for the next few years you're going to be 3A? Or do you just keep doing what you're doing? So that'll be an interesting question to ask. Of course, summer basketball is prevalent. Some shootouts going on basically all throughout this summer, of course. And for the Chesterfield-Waltonville Lady Devils, we'll talk with Rick Metcalf. I know there's a big gathering of schools yesterday for girls basketball in Hamilton County. I know Johnston City, Mount Vernon, Benton, among others, were all there. Frankfort.
We had that yesterday. Nashville has their boys.
How about that?
Had their boys tournament yesterday.
Centralia, I think, ended up winning that by 2 points over Collinsville, I believe. Lincoln took third over Nashville. But, I mean, you can't look at it and say, oh, well, this team's going to be good in the fall or the winter.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
I mean, a nice 8-team gathering there. They play between the North Gymnasium and Assembly Hall. And, when you look at Nashville, well-run summer tournament. I mean, it's
a good 8-team.
Yeah.
Get in, get out, go home. Oakville has one coming up as well. Murfreesboro has their boys tournament today, shootout today, and it goes alongside with referees doing clinics. They will go in the classroom, which is the stage room off to the right of the gymnasium, and they'll run through video, gawk some things. Mike Austin's down there now. We're getting a lot of good tweets in from athletic director Lynn Navarra at Murfreesboro, who's helping to run that stuff today. So not only a boys basketball shootout, but you also have the referees getting their clinic time and everything in as well. That's pretty cool to see.
Well, you know me, I like efficiency. And to me, that's efficient. You get kids trained, you get coaches prepared, you get officials their certification.
Well, it gets everything out of the way.
That's what I like. And you'll see a lot of that. Of course, we talked about the Nashville Summer Tournament. Of course, Nashville will be seeking a new athletic director. Neil Hammond, of course, is going to Central High School, where he'll take over for Al Warnicki, who unfortunately left us too soon when he passed away this past spring. So Central Cougars have their man, and Neil Hammond. We look forward to talking to him now as a Cougar, as well as maybe having some more Cougar coaches on, of course. I know we've had Jeremy Schubert before. We did have Stan Eagleson when he led the helm, but we'll look forward to maybe talking and getting Kevin Krask on in the spring, and, of course, talking a little bit of football as well when we start doing our previews come August. But other than that, I mean, people think that things tend to wind down when you hit the summer months, and things don't. Things heat up, whether you kind of have your own little hot stove of high school sports, so to speak.
Well, this is the fourth season. I mean, I know you have fall sports, winter sports, spring sports, but with the contemplation and onslaught of 25 contact days, this adds into a whole nother season. I mean, you have a shootout, it seems like, all the time. You have tournaments. You have 7-on-7s. Volleyball's having tournaments. I know Hamilton County's had a lot of success in the summer with volleyball. Woodlawn's done a lot. You have all these things going on, and then July happens, and you kind of tend to move towards, volleyball, football. There's golf going on. We're going to, get a hold of some people to have on about the SIGA high school side of things, the junior program here in the next few weeks. They're doing golf. Of course, you go to the golf courses and you see kids out pounding the ball, pounding on the range, doing whatever. So, it's a season unto itself with a number of shootouts, tournaments, 7-on-7s that go on. You have the BCA that has their league of teams. There's not an off time, and which gets us to Commissioner Ferde in a few weeks, where you have to wonder when the time will come where the IHSA will put in a dead period to say, kids need to be kids, the coaches need to be adults and relax. There's going to be a dead period like in Kentucky. I think that's something that's got to happen, because there's never a downtime. If you're an athlete of multiple sports, or one sport, in fact, you're never on a downtime because you're always doing something sport-wise.
Right. Yeah, I think that's going to be – they'll find it to be rather cumbersome in terms of everything. And, you have speed camps for track. I know Andy Sloan has a big speed camp every year down there at Benton. The cross-country runners are running throughout the summer, track and field, and soccer going on. And
is soccer going on?
Well, I know the World Cup, obviously, it would be the elephant in the soccer room.
Oh.
But I know that, in terms of high school soccer and things like that, they're going over the summer. Tennis. I mean, it's never ending. And then we don't really see it as much around here because there really aren't very many school-sanctioned swimming and diving teams, so to speak, in Southern Illinois. But you still have, your individual clubs that go on, and some do it individually and are considered to be through the school. So, it's amazing all of the activities that are offered that continue on through the summer months, and what you would think would be a lean period of talking high school sports is actually probably one of the busier times.
Think about this. If you play, for example, Woodlawn High School will have 71 days off this summer. If you play volleyball, basketball, softball, per se, 3-sport athlete, you get 25 days of sport. That's 75 days, but you only have 71 days of summer. You have 75 contact days, but only 71 days of summer. It's overkill. Some of this is overkill. I mean, there are teams that will play June through the end of July basketball. It's just crazy. We played 742 games, won 800 of them. Great, good for you.
I look at, say, an incoming freshman from District 80. You get out of school June 13th. Mount Vernon High School starts mid-August.
Yep.
And you have if you're wanting to do 3 sports and think you're going to have a good chance of getting on 3 sports, you're going to have that same type of thing with even less time. And I know that, girls basketball takes its time off over the summer. And I know volleyball has a camp that's already happened. That was in early June. But, it's just crazy to think about all that happens, all that goes on, everything that everybody is doing. And, we talked about it at length last week. But it's kind of curious to see when the burnout starts to take place and how that impacts kids over the future.
That's
and
when they get jobs.
Numbers.
That's when they say, I'm done, I got to get a job.
Yeah.
That's usually the out. But, I mean, as far as administrators and athletic directors go at schools, to get with coaches and to make sure everybody has their equal amount of time, nobody runs. I know, some schools work on their own schedules and they share and work around each other and everything. I know some schools say this month or this section of summer is volleyball, these 2 sports and these 2 sports and these 2 sports. But you have to really have people really working together. I know Benton does a really good job on the boys and girls side of sharing. Nashville does as well. Some schools do a really good job of sharing, some don't. And those that promote and help each other out and don't say, you need to play my sport because, not others, then that's a thing there. That's an issue too when people start to be selfish within a program of sports.
Some programs don't have to do a whole heap and heck of a lot in the summer. Nashville Hornets basketball.
Mm-hmm. Right.
we see what happens there. It's interesting to see how sometimes you still can be successful without doing a lot over the summer months. So might be a notion of letting kids be kids. We'll find out, of course, as we talk with many more. We have the Commissioner of the Day program as well. We need to talk with Parker Windhorst. He is the athletic director at Massac County for the Patriots. When we come back after the break, we'll have him on the horn here on the Saturday Sports Show, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
I'm Jeremy Pearson with a look at your next rad weather. It will be very warm and humid throughout today with a blend of clouds and sunshine, high 90. Thunderstorms are likely this evening, otherwise it will be partly cloudy and humid, low 66. Partly sunny, high and humid tomorrow, with a thunderstorm in spots, high 90. And Monday's looking humid with a blend of clouds and sunshine with an afternoon shower or thunderstorm around, high 88. Next rad weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
How can we keep the people we love safe and secure in their own home? Let the Medicine Shop's home medical equipment team help you with all your mobility and specialty product needs. They provide mobility products like motorized scooters, wheelchairs, and home stair lifts. The Medicine Shop's expertly trained staff can also provide car and van lift installations, and they offer a full service repair facility for medical equipment, whether you purchased it from them or somewhere else. Here's pharmacist and pharmacy owner Eric Black.
We service a 60-mile radius area, so a pretty wide area. We service orders from several area hospitals, and we have the staff in place that really sets us apart. We have 3 respiratory therapists and 2 seating specialists to help with seating on wheelchair and power chair needs. And we just feel that we have the staff and the warehousing and the facilities in place to really set us apart from any of our competitors in the area.
The Medicine Shop Pharmacy, 2339 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
America is a nation on wheels. Everyone has at least one automobile. We use them for shopping, work, everything we do. But they can be a threat. Some accidents can't be prevented. Your professional Pekin Insurance Agency, Page Insurance on Crown View in Mount Vernon, can help protect you from a large financial loss when an accident happens. Call Page Insurance today at 242-7000 about low-cost auto insurance from Pekin Insurance. Ask them about the many money-saving discounts that are available. Depend on your hometown professionals.
Pekin Insurance.
Welcome back, Saturday Sports Show, AM 940, WMIXSports.com, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
That's Danny Zerwinski. I'm Chris Hugo. We're here until 10 o'clock on WMIX. So glad to have you with us. Follow us on Twitter at WMIX Sports. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/WMIX Sports. Our next guest, he is the athletic director at Massac County High School. He is Parker Windhorst. Parker, good morning.
Good morning, guys. You said follow you guys on Twitter. You're the only follow anybody needs on Twitter. You can get any coverage you want in the United States. I want to know what's happening in the second half of a freshman B game in Weber, I can get that information if I'm following you.
And we will try. And we will try to find you information on things you didn't even think you need to know about too. You know.
That's exactly right. How you guys doing this morning?
You're doing pretty well, and I have to ask. The first thing that came to my mind when I saw the enrollments released this week was I looked at certain schools that have been bumped to 3A in recent years, obviously following Mount Vernon as primarily as we do, and I wonder if when you saw that your baseball and softball programs were bumped up to 3A, if it was kind of a breath of relief knowing that they were in the same class as basketball, or if you kind of grown a little bit knowing that your schedule's probably already set and there's not much you can do about it.
First thing that happened, I got a hold of both our baseball and softball coach, and just we're going to have to find something that next week, you know. And before, when I've been on here to talk about it, our geography sometimes is not a friend of ours. But in a situation like this, where we can, you know, add somebody from Kentucky that last week, it's not as bad as it could be. But it's like, you know, now you feel like something's set. Now you got to find something. And in baseball, you know, you really need to find probably 2 games that last week. But it's you know, winning a regional or any postseason success at any level is, I mean, you got to play well. You know what I mean? And 2A, to just talking about softball, 2A, you know, going through some of those teams, we've had a good rivalry with Carterville the last couple of years, and we're going through a nice run of talent. Our core players are going to be seniors, and I think we can compete at that level year in, year out. I don't know, but there are some very strong 2A teams, just like there's some very strong 3A teams, but I don't think it's, you know, now we're having to go beat Team USA instead of beating a 2A team. You know what I mean? So it's not as bad as it could be. In baseball, we're getting it turned around. I think we last won a regional in 2000, if my memory serves me right. So we've, you know, it's not like we were a powerhouse in baseball and then they bump us up and now it's, you know, oh no, what are we going to do? You still got to beat good teams, regardless of what you do.
How much of a difference would it make if, as an athletic director in your case, the IHSA would release these things maybe, or obviously earlier, like in a winter, maybe a year earlier? Would it make? How much of a difference would that make scheduling wise?
A ton. You know, you wouldn't feel as rushed. I mean, I can't think of a time it ever hasn't got done. I tell you, 2 years. Our first year of 3A, our girls did not play during what would be 2A regional week. We just couldn't get anything moved. We couldn't add anybody. Nothing worked out. And we actually won the regional that year. And I think that year we had a girl who was injured, and she was able to take a week off, and it helped out. So that kind of helped. But you know, you want to play, and we turn in those numbers in October. I don't know when the IHSA gets them. I know they got to go through a process. They got to decide who's playing in what sport or whatever it is, and probably look at some co-ops and who's going to do that. But if we knew it earlier, obviously everything would get bumped up 4 or 5 months, and you would just not have the pressure of putting it in a microwave and getting it cooked really quick.
You moved. The basketball team was the first one really affected, boys and girls at Massac. I know you left the Pyramid and went to the Vienna tournament, and then that same summer was the year that Massac found out the boys and girls were going to be 3A in basketball. I mean,
and that wasn't even my worst decision. You should see what happened in Stocks that year to me. You know what I mean? I was just dealing a hot hand there for a little bit with all the dumb moves I was making. But go ahead and finish your question.
Hey, and I look at that and I'm thinking, okay, you make moves based on, you know, what you're currently in, and then you get thrown a curveball. And to me, it's taken a couple years to adjust scheduling-wise, hasn't it, to get Heron to move that conference game to the last week of the regular season where it was bumped in the schedule? That took a lot of work.
Yeah, you know, they were the first ones that happened to, and seeing what they went through. You know, I mean, they had a great year. That first year they were 3A. They were a good team. They just played a bad game against Carbondale in the regional, but they were one of the better teams in that regional. If they're 2A, they're probably playing at Carbondale, but I don't think they got a game moved that first year they did. And the next year we were able to go on a Tuesday because we kind of thought if the regional stays as it is, and I know Murfreesboro's now 3A, us and Heron are probably going to turn around and play some form of a play-in game a lot of years in that regional. So we decided to put it on a Tuesday, and it helped a little bit, you know, and getting out of the Pyramid. When we were in the Pyramid, and you guys were there covering it, we had some good athletes. We could compete, you know what I mean? And we were doing that because we thought we could play with those teams. And we really have, I'm not saying, we don't have the athletes going. We don't have Darrell Johnson, Byron Bailey, Corey Isle. We don't have those college-type players coming through, so it made sense to get out. And we signed a 3-year contract, which is coming to an end, so we'll have to look at it, what we're going to do with that. And it may be a thing where we feel like we don't have the personnel to play in a Pyramid, but you know, does it do us any good playing those teams? I don't know. We'll have to talk about that, but we would probably probably either look at getting another tournament or adding 2 games or something like that. But it really puts us in a conundrum because, yeah, you want to play those teams to get ready for the postseason, but you don't want to totally blow up your schedule and, go 12-18 because you want to play competition and still get beat in a regional semifinal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think you got to look at it as, hey, we're going to play schools that are like us, maybe in that 500, 600, 700 range. Try to get better. Try to do those things. 10 of those games are dictated by our conference schedule, so try to get better as that goes and see where you're at the end.
Now that Murfreesboro comes in, I got to ask, when the River ADs get together, do you and Mike Mooneyham and now Lynn Navarra, do you guys look at the other 3 in the Ohio division and go, hey, y'all, we might be needing to look at something different, not now, but maybe in the future, because you guys are all getting bigger and getting bumped up into classes?
Actually, we're getting smaller. They just changed how they figured it. This is the lowest we've ever been, So it's the lowest we've ever been, and now we're 3A. It's really weird how it is. Do you mean changing what our conference does, or do you mean actually changing conference?
Like changing what the conference does, or changing schedules, or changing conference, any of those 3 things?
I don't know, because in 10 years, what's going to happen in the landscape of Southern Illinois schools? I mean, I think if you're a school that's 150 students or less, you probably got to wonder what the future of your school is. If you're a school who's looking to build a new high school, you probably got to wonder if the state is not going to kick in some incentive and say, hey, go find somebody. And I don't mean a school like, I know Mount Vernon's building a new high school, but, let's say a school of 500 wants to build a new school. I mean, that's really what the state is after. They want to limit the number of schools and limit the number of districts, and I think that's why they're holding back some of this funding. And when they get it how they want to get it, that's when you may see a turnaround. So I think we could probably fix it ourselves, because in basketball you really only need to play once. So we could do a thing like us or Heron does, or Murfreesboro now, obviously they're looking for a game, and we all have good relationships, so we would work with them to get it fixed. But where that number keeps dropping, and looking at projections, if you get on the Illinois State Board website and look at the fall housing enrollment for what would be 8 through 11, so what would be the number you're going to turn in for the next year, you see some people get in the 600s, that are on our side. It may get 5 of the 6 next year, depending on how they figure it. So it's definitely a problem. I mean, I think I'm going to call the IHSA and say, I don't care how you figure it, just make sure Massac County is the biggest 2A in every sport, and if you could get us down to 1A in some of them, we'll take that.
Well, I mean, and that's what I'm looking at is, like you said, the numbers getting smaller. And for example, Harrisburg was 1 kid away from 3A in a lot of sports. I mean, they got to know that next year they're going, and Carterville shot up dramatically enrollment-wise. They got to know where they're headed down the road. So the numbers dropping and these schools are gaining enrollment. I mean, this is going to be a problem. Not a problem, but this is going to be the way a lot of schools in River are going to be going to, is they're going to move up to 3A in several sports.
Yeah, you're right, and it's is in a range of so many schools like what the IHSA has, saying 25% in a class. I mean, that sounds good. But boy, that rank, I mean, what is it this year, guys? 586 to 1401? Mm-hmm. Am I in the ballpark there? I mean, that's a huge range. I mean, I know that since 2000, we have won 3 regionals. 2000, 2004, and 2009. I'm talking in boys basketball. All 3 of those teams were good enough to go to the state tournament, or in 2000's case, the Sweet 16 at SIU. I don't think any of those teams could have done anything in 3A, with the exception of maybe 2009 with Byron Bailey and those guys. But we had 1 regular season loss, and that was to Carbondale. So it's not like we want to be in that lower class to just dominate, because we haven't been dominating. It's not like we've been doing that, but you almost do that to feel like, hey, you'd like to have a little bit more of a chance. Now, it's not me saying, well, we have no chance when our season's done at the end of the regular season, but we know it's an uphill climb. You know what I mean? And it probably should be when you start comparing school sizes like that. But our season has been ended in that time frame by schools like Hope County, Century, Vienna, Harrisburg, Murfreesboro. Those types of schools who are less than us. So it's I don't think they ever change how they figure it until you start looking at maybe some other schools going away. But it's a conundrum, and I didn't mean to I hope I don't sound like I'm getting on here and complaining and saying, woe is me. Hey, we were high on the hog for a while. We were the biggest 2A school in baseball this year, and so, I know somebody's going to be the low man, and that's just how it is. But it's when it's you, it's like, hey, now now it's me. I don't know about all this. Let's talk about this some more. So it's tough though. But the scheduling part of it, we've always tried in all our sports to play. When we were 2A and playing in the pyramid, it's like, hey, your schedule, that's a good job. You guys are doing a good job.
Of course,
if we were still playing in the pyramid, would we be any better? We would probably be better suited, especially if it was later on in the year. But our tournament is pretty tough, and we play schools like Graves and McCracken and Paducah Tillman. So we try to do some of that, but it's a different ball game now, definitely, when you look at the end game of it.
Which makes me wonder. I mean, obviously, up where we are, we're more familiar with just from pretty well solidly Illinois schedule, rarely having to go out of state anymore unless it would have to be a random football game. Competition-wise, a lot of our listeners may not understand that some of those games down there in Kentucky are just as competitive, not more so for you, than some of the games in Illinois.
Kentucky's a different state, but most of them have a county school and then an independent school. For example, there's McCracken County High School. I believe you guys traveled down there this year for baseball. Did you do something down there at your complex? If I remember right.
Yes, that was it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They're a school of 1,900 kids. Well, they also have an independent school, Paducah Tillman High School, which has about 900 kids. And most of the counties have something similar to that. So they're bigger schools, and they don't have as many. They do one class in a lot of sports other than football. But, playing some of these teams, Gus Gillespie, who I know a lot of you guys are familiar with, he coaches at Marshall County, 15, 16, 1,700 kids. So when we play some of those schools, it would be like taking on schools bigger than Carbondale, Mount Vernon, and some of them, and they're good. They're quality programs, and it helps us out to, if you want to beef up your schedule, do we drive 30 minutes to Marshall County, or do we go all the way to Centralia and, pack a lunch? So it helps us out a lot because there's not a lot of bigger schools down here with the exception of Marion, 45 minutes away, Carbondale, an hour away. So it's helpful on that. But, yeah, there's good sports down there to be played just across the river.
Our final question of the day is our social media question of the week. You're familiar with this. And this week's question is, what job would you want to perform at a circus?
Really? Oh, man. You know what? I'm talking deathly afraid of heights. And I'm 6'7" for your listeners. But anything higher than 6'7", I don't want any part of. I'm thinking I'd like the tightrope one.
Okay.
How about that? And I would have wanted to be an astronaut, but I'm afraid of speed, higher heights, and enclosed spaces. But other than that, I'd have done it all to go to the moon. You know what I mean?
But speaking of done it all, in a couple of weeks, we're going to have our commissioner for a day show. And one of the people that I know, Chris knows, Mr. Weinmiller is going to be involved. If we were to call you back, would you like to join us again that day so we can have a big discussion about things so Mr. Weinmiller is involved as well?
Yeah, I tell you what, too. I'm trying to find a way. He's got a lot of talent coming his way, and I'm just trying to find a way to get some nomads to move up to Benton to get that number to about 600 here in 2 years. That would just break my heart. No, I'd love to talk to you guys. Hopefully, give you guys some good information. I appreciate you allowing me to be on. And I'd like to hear. And I think last time I was on, he was on, and he was talking about commissioner for a day and what you would do and different stuff like that.
Yeah, well.
Anytime you want to hear me ramble, just call me. Trust me, I'll talk about it.
I can tell you this: there was a lot of Tuesday at Benton at their shootout. I know Coach Hossam was there. I got to talk to him. There was a lot of talking back in the coach's office. You know where it's at there. And Shane Hawkins from Marion and myself and a couple others were really telling Ron, because the enrollments weren't out yet. We were like, hey, dude, you're coming to 3A. You may as well book Marion and get it over with. You may as well get Mount Vernon, but they didn't get to 3A. But, yeah, there was a lot of sticking going on the other day at Benton on Tuesday about him being 3A, so don't worry.
We'll save a seat on the boat for him if he gets it, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Parker, we appreciate the time for us this morning. Obviously, we know things keep you pretty busy down there at Massac, but thank you for taking the time out. We look forward to talking to you again here in a couple of weeks.
Hey, sounds good, guys. Have a good day.
You too. That is Parker Windhorst, athletic director at Massac County. Took great care of us in the girls' 3A basketball regional this past season. Always takes great care of us and follows us on Twitter. So should you at WMIX Sports. Plenty more to come. We'll talk with Rick Metcalf. We're going to try again after a commercial break here on the Saturday Sports Show, cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Wilt. I want to thank Mount Vernon and the surrounding area for continuing to support us over the past 5 years. If you have never sat down with someone to go over your insurance program, let me invite you into our office. Let us show you what working with the industry leader, represented by a local agent, can do for you. I'm located just off 42nd Street. You can reach our office 24 hours a day at 242-1421 or on the web at tonywilt.com. Thanks again, and go Rams.
Bad luck. Some people were just born with it. Hi, this is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers of Mount Vernon and Salem. We all know that someone who has that cartoon cloud hanging over their head getting rained on whenever the sun is out. The full moon is their worst enemy, and if something can be spilled, dropped, broken, tipped over, or lost, it will somehow happen to this person. Landers Collision Centers has seen it all. Whether you turned the wheel too sharply backing out of your garage and tore the front end off of your vehicle, crunched your undercarriage running over a curb, or clipped your fender pulling into the ATM, Landers Collision Centers has your back, and we certainly won't judge. As a direct repair facility for many insurance companies, we take care of just about everything, even getting you into a temporary vehicle while we restore yours. That's the Landers difference. Top to bottom, big or small, Landers fixes them all. Come see us in Mount Vernon and Salem and ask us about free detailing for the life of your vehicle. Or call 1-888-LANDERS. That's 1-888-LANDERS.
Welcome back. Saturday Sports Show cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital on WMIX and WMIXsports.com. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Our next guest, of course, is the head coach of the Sestervalier-Waltonville Lady Devils basketball team. He is Rick Metcalf. Coach, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
You know what? Summer is here. It's finally time to get the basketballs back out, spend those contact days. And, you know, for your program, which since you have taken over, obviously has gone to new heights, but you lose a lot of talent in graduation. But looks like with the incoming freshman class, the SV 8th grade team had a pretty good year. Things look like they could go rather well again for you this coming season.
Right. We lost a quality class. Our senior class was exceptional. I got pretty lucky, you know, when they came in as sophomores, I had them. As we speak, Rachel Morrow is actually at the WCA All-Star game up in Bloomington, and she can't participate because she blew out her knee in the regional championship game, but she gets to, you know, go up there and take in that experience, so I'm really happy for her. But, yeah, as you mentioned, our freshman class is pretty good, you know, pretty athletic, you know, and we've thrown them in some varsity things right off the bat, and like I tell all my freshmen, the only good thing about you is next year you'll be a sophomore, you know, so they're allowed to make mistakes. And you throw that mix in with Cheyenne Pitchford, a returning senior, my daughter, Katie Caroline Metcalf, and Daisy Edmondson, and, you know, we got a pretty good nucleus.
What has SVW basketball been doing this summer? You've been spending more time on your own with your team, or you guys been out and about? I know you're a Benton Tuesday, but what's been your schedule this summer?
Well, we started off doing some individual things, just, you know, because since we do get the co-op in with Waltonville, there's a couple of the younger girls I don't know that well, you know, just kind of like a meet and greet thing, you know, to start off. And then we do just a very few fundamental things that we expect out of them for the 4 years that they're with us. And then we play quite a bit. We played in 5 shootouts this year. It's kind of interesting since I've been doing the girls. It's basically the same 7 to 8 teams that do everything in the summer, so you pretty much run into the same folks, you know, all summer long. But, you know, we got this week off, and we're actually going all the way into July this year. Normally I don't do that, but the Coins having a little shootout on the 7th, so we'll participate in that.
When you're in the summer, are you a guy that wants to, you know, instruct and coach every play, every move out there, or are there times when your team comes in, you kind of throw out a ball and want to let them create things on their own on both ends of the floor?
Well, I think as the years progressed, I've changed. I think when I was a younger coach, you know, I was pretty much more of a dictator type. But what we've done as I've gotten a little bit older, maybe a little bit more experience, is I let them have a whole lot more freedom. You know, I've been going that route for, I don't know, about 10 years or so now. We'll get you into, you know, some basic sets. We'll put people into, you know, situations where they think they can prosper, and then we'll just let them go from there.
Speaking of SVW, of course, this season, any new games on the upcoming schedule in the regular season, or any new changes to the schedule?
Yeah, we picked up Cobden and and Jonesboro, which are two very good girls programs. Whenever you can, at our level, when you can pick up River to River and competition, that's a good thing. And, I think about 2/3 of our schedule is River to River anyway. So, we feel, we're pretty excited, about having them on our schedule, and everything else will remain the same.
Knowing it's summer and everybody's kind of more relaxed, you're a guy that follows the NBA quite feverishly. Your thoughts on the finals and first off, thoughts on the finals and things involving the Miami Heat and how things are going to go there, you think, the next few weeks?
Well, first off, Van Gundy, couldn't have said it any better. It actually brought a tear to his eye on how they played those last two games. It was unbelievable basketball. I get pretty tired of listening to people say that they can't stand watching the NBA because they don't play defense. It's all one-on-one stuff. Well, my first question to those folks is usually, have you ever been to an NBA game, to take it in? They pretty much just, around here watching on TV, but without a doubt, San Antonio plays the game the right way. Now, of course, I know there's a million different ways to play, but the court balance, the flow of the basketball, 5 to 10 passes, pass up a good shot, pass up a great shot to get a greater shot. It was just very fun to watch. And then with San Antonio, one of the first things they do is they just get very good people. That they got to have a good mental set first before the actual play comes in. So 1 through 15, they're loaded on both ends of it. They got the complete package. So yeah, I was pretty happy with the way it came out. And then with the Miami thing, they're going to stay there. The big three, they're not going anywhere. Now I can definitely see those other pieces. Chandler, and I can see him moving, and a couple of those guys moving out, because there is a whole bunch of quality players out there that want that ring. So they're going to be willing to give up the money to fit into that program.
Here's the thing. If you're Pat Riley, you got to make all these decisions. Dwayne Wade, number one, he's not worth max cap money, is he at all at this point?
No. But I read an article the other day. Some soccer coach, I can't remember who, I think he was the USA soccer coach, made a comment on why would the Lakers play Kobe Bryant at the tail end of his career, as much money as he's getting, and of course it's pretty much, I think, what we do in our culture is that we pay people for what they've done for us, in years past. At first, I got to thinking, well, this guy's right, but then the more I thought about it, it comes down to that loyalty thing. Kobe Bryant's done a whole bunch of great things, as we all know throughout the years. And, so is Wade, so do you want him to stay there? And I think Pat Riley is that kind of guy that he'll pay a guy a little bit more to stay, as far as that loyalty thing goes. And he's one of the few, I think, that would do that. But yeah, there's no doubt, Wade's on his last leg. It was obvious in the last few games. He just didn't have nothing in the tank. He's got a bad knee. He gets it drained. I think he gets it drained a little bit more than what you know. I'm pretty fortunate because I was lucky to coach Popeye Jones at Murray State, and he's an assistant now with the Pacers. And I was fortunate enough to talk to him a few weeks ago, and that got brought up. And from what I understand, he's got a lot more health issues. I'm talking about Dwayne than what you realize. So. At least he's going out there and he's just not tanking it, like a lot of your superstars would.
You're a Bulls guy. Your team right now, you've got Carlos Boozer eating up a chunk of money. You've got Derrick Rose, who's been hurt the last 2 years, knee injuries and whatnot. And you got Carmelo Anthony laying out there, who's wanting to get out of New York to go play for a winner. Can the Bulls rely on Derrick Rose anymore, or is that ship sailed and they got to look to somebody else to be the leader?
Well, the first time he got hurt, they wanted to wait and bring him the progression along real slow. This year, they're not doing it. They're throwing the dice. He's going to play in the all summer long at a very high pace, high quality competition to see exactly where he's at. And I don't think Foreman and the Paxton are afraid. General managers are afraid to make any kind of decisions. As far as, their top-notch guys. Of course, they're not going to get rid of Derrick Rose. But I think, he's going to be okay. I don't think he's going to be quite as good as he was before. Maybe around Christmas time, he'll eventually get there. But with that being said, now you look at Carmelo. That's the interesting piece. And everybody you listen to, and even out of his camp is, he's definitely listening to the bulls, because as far as a piece that you need, as far as on the chess set, he's the perfect piece. He's going to have to learn how to play a little bit defense because, Thibodeau is not going to tolerate that. But what he brings to the table is exactly what the Bulls need. They need points out of that, position. Now, Boozer's gone, because of the salary cap and all that. They get, I forget what it is, like $20 million type of deal, by $25 million by getting rid of him. Boozer will always, I always think highly of him because I went to a Bulls game here, me and my daughter Katie, a couple years ago, and we sat a couple rows behind the Bulls bench, and he actually threw Katie a T-shirt, so just because of that, I'll always be a Boozer fan. But the man can't play any defense. He tries, but he has no lateral quickness at all. And he's not that tall. I'm 6'7", and I bet the guy is barely 6'8 and a half. If that, when you play the center in the NBA, you got to be a tad bigger than that. So for what he's brought to the table, I think he's been good up to this point, but it's time to move on. You get rid of him. They're throwing Gibson out there. Todd, he's going to be around the NBA for another 8-9 years. So, he's a good quality player as well. So they got the money and they got the structure where they could get someone that good. Also, Love's out there, and he's also, his camp's also talking to Bulls. I don't think there's any way in the world you can get both of them, but, that sure would be sweet. But if you get one of them, on the east side, you definitely got a chance because, as we all know, the east is pretty weak.
Speaking of sweet, we got our final question. It's our social media question of the week, and I know you'll have an answer to this, okay? This week's question is, what job would you want to perform in a circus?
What job would I want to perform in a circus? That's an interesting question. Probably the cotton candy maker.
Really?
And the only reason I'm saying that is because I'm staring at some cotton candy right now.
Oh, did you get that when you were working your shift of making sweet corn and barbecue at the Setzer Homecoming?
I was out there, what day was that? Wednesday. And, I got to give a little plug to it. If people aren't doing anything today, you got the car show going on first thing in the morning. You got the 5K run going. You got the sweet corn booth, which is exceptional. I got to admit, the barbecues, they do make it real slow. I think it's like 14 hours they cook this stuff, and it's the most juiciest barbecue you'll ever have. But, if you want small town, just good, clean fun, come out to Setzer.
Can't forget the parade. Can't forget the parade at 4 too. 4 o'clock parade.
Oh, the parade. Okay, my bad. I forgot about that.
And the trip to Hawaii tonight at 11.
Yeah, and they have upgraded that, so it is a legit trip to Hawaii. And nobody won it for years. It was some weird figure, like 15, 20 years. So they kept it the same. Well, lo and behold, nobody ever went. They just took the money. A friend of mine won the trip, and it is what they say it is. So it's a good deal. And it only costs $1 for to have an opportunity for that.
Did you buy tickets for it this year?
I bought a couple.
Attaboy.
There
I knew
you go.
you would.
Coach, we appreciate the time you've taken for us this morning. Obviously, we wish your progression the very best over the summer, and can't wait to see you guys in action come November.
Yeah, thanks for the phone call. Enjoy the day.
That is Rick Metcalf, head coach of the Sesserville Lady Devils. That's right, the Sesser Homecoming Rend Lake Days, 59th annual, wraps up today. And, of course, the act taking the stage at 8 p.m.
Doug Stone.
Yeah, baby. Doug Stone taking the stage at 8. Q106, our sister station, broadcasting live from 1 till 3 with the parade at 4 o'clock. Can't wait to be out there today. Hopefully it won't be so hot.
You got to go, don't you?
Annually, yes.
Attaboy.
So I wasn't trying to show up, Coach Metcalf. I was just trying to prepare for my role today at the 59th annual Sesser Homecoming.
You on air?
I may have to read a live read or two or something. I don't know. They don't let me.
You'll have to do what you're told to do. I know that.
They try not to let me too loose on the cue. So strange things seem to happen every time I appear, whether it be self-promotion or other things of that aspect. But no, actually looking forward to it. It's always a fun time. The barbecue is amazing. The sweet roasted corn is so juicy and succulent and buttery, and always a fun time. It'll be different this year, of course, due to some things internally, but should be a good time today at the Central Homecoming and Anne Lake Days. So I believe we have one more break to take here on the Saturday Sports Show. We'll do that. We'll come back. We'll rant a little bit here until 10 o'clock on AM 940 and WMIXsports.com. The Saturday Sports Show is cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. Now is a great time to move your account to Community First Bank. With our new One Account offering the highest interest rate in the market, free checking, and CD specials delivered by people you know and trust, why would you not bank with the market leader in Jefferson County? We offer 5 locations with 7 ATMs and have been serving the Jefferson County market since 1906. Stop in and see why our bank is the fastest growing bank in Jefferson County. Community First Bank. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC.
A digestive problem can affect every area of your life. But now there's a specialist right here in town who focuses on digestive health. Mayo Clinic trained Dr. Tegpaul Atwal has opened the only gastroenterology clinic in Mount Vernon. Dr. Atwal treats acid reflux, gallbladder problems, inflammatory bowel disease, ulcers, and more. For your appointment with Dr. Atwal at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 618-241-9071.
Welcome back. Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Here until 10 o'clock. Cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
So the IHSA Board of Directors met in their IHSA office in Bloomington on Monday. Implementation of some policy changes, including the multiplier waiver and success factor.
Well,
or delaying the implementation, I should say.
Yeah.
They are taking bids, however, for the boys and girls, or just boys?
Boys and girls. They've done this. They do it every 5 years.
Right. Peoria's just up the contract. It's just I think that there's wonderment now with the sponsorship having to pay so much money, in addition to the fact that less tickets are being sold, and Caterpillar, among others, have bought the unsold tickets to kind of help out, and there's wonderment if they're not tired of doing so and maybe seeing what some other cities can also offer. I mean, Chambana has grown immensely. They have a new hotel and convention center on campus. It's where the Illinois Broadcasters Association stuff was this week at the iHotel. So, I mean, they have a little bit more to offer, but there's still, I think you're going to struggle unless it's in the heart of Chicagoland to find anybody that can offer what Peoria offers. And I cringe at that thought.
Well, first thing, the easiest thing, I think the girls at Bloomington is an excellent place.
Perfect.
I think that has been a great place since they moved from Champaign to mid-'90s. I think that's a great move for them because volleyball's there as well. I don't have any problems with that. The boys' side, a lot more passion, a lot more. It's meant more to go to the assembly hall. And I think what Illinois is trying to package, from what I've read, is tradition, playing on the Illinois floor. They're trying to package that into kids growing up in the state of Illinois want to play at Illinois. Well, give or take.
That's
my basketball roots of Kentucky, unless it's Rupp Arena, it doesn't matter. Because Kentucky, here's the thing. Pinckneyville won a state title in '94 at Champaign. Pinckneyville won a state title in '01 at Peoria. Are either title worth more? No, because they're both state titles. Nobody's going to care where it's at, if it's in the Armory or wherever.
And my thing with that is the people that you hear arguing that point are the people that grew up where the only college basketball team they could see on TV or hear on the radio was Illinois. That means you're coming into a new generation, Generation Z as they're calling it, of kids with social media, with the internet, with tablets, with all this technology.
You can watch whoever you want.
Right. So you see more.
Old.
You see, granted, you've always had people that maybe because of a national scale, maybe your 90s high schoolers, mid to late 90s high schoolers maybe were Duke or UNC, UK, things like that maybe still had an appreciation for Illinois.
College basketball's on 7 days a week.
So now you're finding kids that when they say they're UNC fans, they don't care about Illinois. They're UNC or they're Duke or they're UK or they're Michigan State. Bandwagon jumpers
that's
Michigan.
Yeah.
People legitimately, that is their fan base. They don't care about Illinois unless they're an Illinois fan. They do not care.
So they can't get in the tournament. Anyway, I think Illinois is making a legit serious run for both.
Right.
Because they want recruits to come down. Unless
right.
You got to start winning. You got to start getting the tournament. You got to start promote your program in other ways that other schools have instead of that. But now, as far as it goes, could I see the U of I getting both? Yes. Could I see Peoria keeping one class and Champaign keeping one class and 3A, 4A head north? By all means. If they send 1 through 4A boys basketball to Chicago, there'll be people like me going, we're not going. I mean, there'll be people who still want to go, but I don't, 3A, 4A, when you see it on the internet or TV, 3A, 4A, boys basketball, Peoria, it looks like a ghost town. They can move everybody down to Lower Bowl unless they get a Peoria school there or a local bigger school there following a team or New Trier because they always bring people. Other than that, I don't know. It's a ghost town. But that's going to be the thing is I could see a split, but I could also see Champaign getting them all. I think Peoria splits, and I think Champaign gets them all.
Well, but here's when you use the logic of come play on the floor of, again, nobody cares about the Illini at this age.
The Flying Illini is 25 years ago.
There's only one place where I think that can be a selling point, and that's come play on the home of the NBA Chicago Bulls. And you're not going to see it there because, one, I cannot see the United Center or anybody behind that or Chicago's
Hoffman
Convention of Sports.
Estates.
That is going to be your best bet. Was that Sears
Yep.
Center?
Whatever it is, it seats over 9,000. I could see.
Would not be at all surprised to
3A,
see
4A.
two different locations.
Yeah, I could too.
One for 3A, 4A, one for 1A, 2A, and there you go. That could very well be what happens. I would not be surprised at all if basically to see that happen. If I didn't see anywhere on there, I tried to look at it. I didn't get to look at it very closely. I did not see anywhere on the proposal sheet where it said you had to be in Illinois. I think that's a foregone conclusion.
Had to be in Illinois.
Yeah, where it has to be. Obviously, the Illinois IHSA is not going to consider out of state. But if I am the Family Arena in St. Charles, Missouri, knowing what all I have around it, I would go after that.
That won't happen.
Just to make an aggressive proposal to show what you could possibly get. And I would seek that out to see what I could get more out of my in-state partners like Peoria, the people that I already have with, to try to get more money out of them.
I think Illinois is going to go. Champaign's going to go for all four. Boys-wise, I believe. I think Bloomington will get all four girls. And, at that point, I could see 1A, 2A in Peoria and 3A, 4A in Chicago. I could also see 1A, 2A in Champaign and 3A, 4A in Chicago. But I think what Champaign wants is to get 3A, 4A because they know the chances of D1 basketball players coming out of Chicago, Kentucky, not Kentucky, but we go up there and get who we want. But all those classes, they would want everybody at Champaign. Have it like the old days.
1A, 2A would be less logical for Champaign than 3A, 4A because you don't have to worry about the people coming.
It's going to be 20 years in the spring since the state tournament was at Champaign. There are kids that don't remember the state tournament at Champaign. You have to be in your 30s on up to remember a state tournament in Champaign.
Yeah.
You might, as a little kid, remember your last trip, but you're probably not going to remember unless you're in your 30s or above the state tournaments at Champaign. Those days are done. State title's a state title. I don't care where you win it at. So anyway, that'll be interesting to watch what bids. I think we'll know that shortly or soon because they don't want that to fester into the state tournament time next year.
Right. I still think if I am the IHSA, I try to solicit a bid from St. Charles to try to drive up the money elsewhere.
Well, you solicit anything, drive up money. I mean, that's
what you have to do.
You have to do that. That goes without saying, yeah.
So there's that. I believe we have one more break to take, so let's go ahead and get that out of the way. We'll come back. We'll talk about this success formula, multiplication waivers, and the like as a result of the board meeting this past Monday from the IHSA. We'll be back after this.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
Did your bank recently make changes or add fees to your checking account? Free yourself with a free checking account from People's National Bank. You'll receive a Visa check card, online banking, bill pay, mobile banking, and access to over 20,000 ATMs with the added convenience of MoneyPass ATM network. Stop by People's National Bank, located at 413 South 34th Street in Mount Vernon today for details on how to get your free checking account.
People's National Bank, serving Southern Illinois since 1909. Member FDIC. Non-usage and wireless carrier fees may apply.
Welcome back. Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com. Cared for, of course, by Crossroads Community Hospital. And talking about the IHSA Board of Directors meeting on Monday in Bloomington, they've basically recommended that girls golf stays in the same place at Red Tail Run for Class A and then Hickory Point for Class AA. That's in Decatur. That'll be until 2019, so pretty well much ado about nothing there.
Cold weather and golf, that's perfect.
Basically, the interesting thing to me, Session 2 of the boys and girls state finals.
6 and 7:30.
Right, 6 and 7:30. That's the Friday night session, Session 2. That affects all 4 classes. Probably the biggest thing for me, though, boys and girls basketball in the state finals, you did not receive the same amount of timeouts you did in the regular season because of the media timeouts. Coaches now get on top of the media timeouts the regular allotment that they get in the regular season. That's big.
That's NBA style, which is fine because some schools get up to state and you don't want to burn timeouts because you have one less timeout in the TV timeout and people get on a run. And I've seen games lost there where coaches waited too long to get to the TV timeout and it was too late to come back after that.
Exactly, and I think that it helps that you grant that and basically try to give more normalcy to the situation because whether you like it or not, it does disrupt the flow when you have the media timeouts, but they're a necessary evil.
The 6 and 7:30 starts are interesting because they've adjusted times now to 12 o'clock and 1:30 on Friday, Saturday, and then of course 6 and 7:30 on the evening. I think that'll make a huge adjustment. Now, I think print media guys and TV media or guys and gals, the print and TV media are dancing in the streets because the 2A and 4A title games in boys and girls basketball wouldn't start till 8:30, 8:40, wouldn't get done till 10:30 after the broadcast. So now you might be able to get, beat writers and media writers will be able to get the stories in well ahead of deadlines, and some TV stations will be able to get some highlights back before, the show's off the air at 10:30.
Right. Exactly, and so, that helps them. And then, with the enrollments this week and this delay of the new waiver and success factor formulas delayed, I think that just basically says maybe that's not going to happen.
That tells me that they went out on the limb and said this was going to happen. They've done some research. They've heard some what could be coming towards them maybe legally, and I'm just guessing at this point, but maybe they've heard something where it's like, okay, we need to investigate more into this, or maybe it's a matter of how much work they're going to have to do. Whatever the case may be, it's been delayed, and it wouldn't shock me if it's not only delayed but shuffled to the side and filed away in a cabinet, and they might bring that out, might never see it again.
I just can't help but wonder if we're not that far away from 4 classes, but
3 public and 1 private.
Something like that, or 2 and 2.
Yeah.
A small private and a large private, and then A and AA again for publics. I can't help but wonder. But then you're going to have schools hate that now because you've already gone the 4 classes overall.
Yeah, 4 classes here to stay because they back out of 4 classes, then there'll be people saying, I told you so, told you so. So that's not happening.
Which is why I wonder if there's not going to be some sort of different split. I think now the only compromise, here's the thing, for the publics, the only fair compromise with the way you have it now is to go 3 and 1. 3 public, 1 private. Mm-hmm. For the privates, really only a fair compromise is to go 2 and 2. So you're really kind of darned regardless of what you do now.
Right. They're going to keep 4 classes in basketball.
Exactly.
I'm going to tell you that right now because they're not going back on that.
I see the split of that.
And it doesn't matter where you have that at. Champaign, Peoria, Hoffman Estates, Carbondale, DeKalb will make a run at this too. I forgot to throw them in.
Yes.
Attendance is going to drop no matter what because the 1A and 3A schools will leave when their session's done in the afternoon. It doesn't matter.
Right. That's all there is to it. I mean, your common fan, there's too many factors taking away the common fan. I even find myself not caring about the basketball if I don't have a team there. I go do other things. The one year I skipped 1A on Saturday entirely because we did not have a team there whatsoever.
That is what it is. I mean, that happens to everybody.
So, I mean, I just think you're seeing more of that. And it is what it is. You're right.
We'll talk more.
Commissioner for a Day show coming at you. Of course, it's where we all are commissioner for a day and decide what should be done in the world of high school sports. That'll be July 19th. We'll have a great panel for you on that day. We're back next week here on the Saturday Sports Show. Same dial location, same web address, WMIXSports.com here on WMIX Mount Vernon. NBC News now.